Hello and welcome to my channel. This video is about the absolute basics of CSS, how to start with it, and some basic things. If you are a beginner, it might help. So CSS is used for styling and the look of our HTML. So I'm just going to write some basic HTML and try to explain it. Changing the title to CSS Basics. So there are two methods to put CSS. One is external CSS, external file, or inside the style text. First method is with the link tags. We are in the href attribute. We are going to write the name of our CSS file. This is external method. And another method that I use here is that inside the style tags, inside head tags, we have to write our CSS code. So for CSS, we have to first write the HTML code on which we will apply our CSS. So I'm just going to begin with the heading and trying and going to show on page how it looks. So this is our default HTML. So inline CSS that is written inside the HTML tags itself. So this is written as we use the style attribute. So we can write inside the HTML tag itself. So this is color property. This is for the content of our tags. So our heading color is changed. So this is the inline method. We don't use this, but this is it. And the method that is used is that we will write our CSS inside the style tags. So we can use the first method is that we can use the tag name itself, and this is how we write inside our style tag. We write the tag name if we want to use the tag name. So this will change the color, as you will see color is changed to blue. And if we want to align the content on the center text content, we can use this property text align with the value center, as you see. So this is we use the tag itself. But suppose if we have two tags and we want to style them differently. So as I write here, both are h2 tags and the same style is applied. So if we want to style them differently, we have to use something else. So there we can take the help of ID and class. Remember, the ID has to be unique, and class can be same for multiple content. So same I write here to, then I will proceed further. We have given ID to our other element to differentiate it, and See, if we use the id, for id we have to use hash when we use it in the css. So we use the id. See, both are h2 tags, but second one has a id, so id will override the tag style. So this is why we use id. I am using the background color property, so this is for the content of our this is for the background color of our element. So you can see some, I am using some different color. So for background color we can use the color names, as well as we can also use the RGB values. See, the background color is changed. So here we have used id, both are h2 tags. Now I am going to write some div tags. So I have used two div elements. I am giving them id 1 and 2, and I'm going to use the same class on both of them. So I use class 2, um, class same on both, as I want to have some common style on both of our div elements. And for differentiating I am using id. So remember, id has to be unique, and always id, if there are some interfering styles, then id will override the class style. So I'm using the class name boxes. Remember, for class we have to use dot in the css. For id we have to use hash. So I'm going to use the background color. So these are div elements. So in html, each element is placed vertically. So we will have two div elements. I'm using the height property. So 100 px, this is some default mm, predefined in css, the px value. This is kind of like points. So mostly try to use some percentage value or relative value instead of absolute values like px, if you want to uh, have your content mm, look good on multiple devices with the different screen sizes. So try to use relative values whenever you can. So id will override class, but class will override text. So I have, for our one div with id 1, I am using color this, and for 2 I am using color different. Both will have same styles of class boxes, and both color will be different. Then I am using the margin property. See, margin is the distance between different elements. So as you can see, previously there was no distance between them. Now with margin they are differentiated. So margin is the distance between the borders of elements. And there is a property padding. This is the distance or uh, some difference between the content of a element and the its boundary. So we can use the padding to create some difference, or place our content in center or inside the inside the element. So we can use top and bottom. So see, our content is pushed down. We can also use em values. So em is also a relative value. Width properties for the width of our element. So when I set it to 50%, as you see, we have reduced it to half. So now I'm using the border, and border, it will create a border around our element, and we can use the border radius to make our elements border bit circular. Maybe this property isn't working for some reason. So we don't have to remember each and every property of CSS. We, we should only know how to use them, and depending upon our requirement, we can look for them. So for CSS, we have to just know the main elements, main properties, and how we can use them. And we can use border radius to make our element like a circle. So I'm going to show this the hover property. So this hover property is a state when a user is hovering the mouse over hovering the cursor over the element. So with this hover state, the in the hover state we can apply some different style. See, so when I hover it over it, the color changes. So this is the hover property. So now the position property. So for position we have multiple options: relative, absolute, and fixed. So in relative, the we can push our content, we can push our element from its original place to a desired place depending on the values we use with it. So when we use this 100 px property, so what happens is that the element is pushed down from its original state. So think it like that, if it was in the original position, it will be put 100 px down from its original position. For fixed value, it will be always fixed. We can set it to some value and it will be placed there even if the user is scrolling on the page. In absolute value, we can so in whatever container the element is, if we use the absolute position, we can put it we can push the element or place it relative to the container of that element.